Setting boundaries, defining your worth, and seeing yourself before you expect any amount of external validation. I'm Pratna, and you're listening to Rebel with a Purpose. I'm so glad you're here today because today I've invited a really special guest. Her name is Petra. She's a transformational coach, and she is going to shine light on topics such as confidence and self worth, self doubt, and self trust, which is so important. And I genuinely feel like self reliancy is the most underrated thing in the world. So let's dive right into it. Hi, Petra. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm really good and so happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm so glad I invited you on this episode. It's going to be amazing. It's a topic that all of us need to hear more about. So, just for our listeners, would you like to share more about what you do and your who you are essentially?
Yeah, so I'm Petra. I'm a transformation and soul purpose coach, but I feel like that's just a title of my mission. More than that, I'm a woman who's been through, the fire of transformation, of self-doubt, of burnout. And I just got on the other side more accomplished, more certain, more assured. And yeah, my entire work is based basically on my awakening and my transformation. And since I was little, I've always felt that life is so much more than what I've been taught, what I've been shown. I've always felt this, inner nudge that it should be more than going into school, getting into work position, making children, getting married, all that. And yeah, this nudge persisted. And it showed me throughout my experience that life is indeed so much more. And we are not just humans, we are also energies, we are beings, and we exist here to experiment what this experience is, what life is in every single way possible.
Hmm. That's so beautiful. And I would love to know, like, what was your turning point? How did you shift from that state of, having self-doubt or being underconfident to now being the person you are?
I think the starting point was during COVID. So, yeah, that was the moment when I realized that I should really face my shadows. I should really do something about everything that was hurting within myself. And I started looking for ways of how to support myself, how to heal my wounds and my shadows. And yeah, the first modality I reached out for was journaling. That helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a time of, introspection and reflection and solitude because we were forced by the COVID and the whole situation to stay at home and not, go out, socialize and keep our minds and ourselves busy with external stuff. So yeah, that for me was a massive turning point.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you mentioned that because COVID for me was also like that point of like just going inwards and being with myself a lot and doing a lot of journaling. And I did a lot of yoga during COVID too. So it was a lot of like understanding more of who I am. And I think I shaped my mission and my vision for the business that I now have during COVID. Like that was the foundation. So I love that, we have that synchronicity over here. And I wanted to ask you because, you do so much work around confidence and self-worth. Where do you, what is the difference between self-worth and confidence first? Because I hear them being used interchangeably a lot. So I would like to know the difference.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I love that question. And you're right, they are used interchangeably, but they are different. I feel like confidence is the result of self-worth, is the expression of self-worth. Self-worth basically is the root that, certainty within us that we know who we are and we activate from our authentic place. And confidence is just an expression of that, how we show up into the world, how we speak, how we sit, how we stand, all that. Does that make sense?
That's so beautifully explained and that's so simple to understand. And how do you build this self-worth, right? Because it's the root of confidence, right? So we don't, instead of saying how do you build confidence, the question would be how do you build worthiness from within and that self-stability that you spoke about?
Yeah. Well, firstly, I would start with saying that it's not going to be a overnight change. It's not going to happen so easily. It starts with, in my opinion, with awareness. I feel like if we are not aware of the current situation, our current stage, we cannot move towards something else. So we have to acknowledge that we want to change something. We are not there yet. We are not, feeling right in our own skin. So once we have the awareness of our current situation, we can map out a plan to move to a next step to something better. And the next one would probably be, in my opinion, and what worked for me, being kind. Being kind towards myself. Yeah, being kind, being patient, asking the right questions. Why am I here? Why am I feeling like this? How can I change this? Where is this coming from? All this reflection and inner work does help with that. Once we ask the right questions, then we can move on to finding the answers, and they come from our intuition. So I feel like this is a very good start.
Mm.
Kindness, patience, and awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you said asking the right questions, because a lot of times, like, our self dialogue is, what is wrong with me? Or why am I not able to do this? Or why do I keep going back to the same person? Or why am I making the same mistakes again? Rather than, what is this trying to teach me? And what have I accomplished so far? And what am I so proud of? And it's like the questions of, why is this not working out? Actually, ever since I started my business, I've been like, oh, why is this not working out? Why is this not working out? And my coach was like, the question's wrong. You're asking the wrong question. Look at what everything that is working out and double down. And I was like, yeah, there are a lot of things that are working out, but I'm just not paying attention to them. And so, like, a lot of times we do um question ourselves negatively, or our self dialogue is just harsh. And so I've also, I'm going to share a habit that I do, which is I use my voice notes app on my phone to either motivate myself when I'm in the gym, or like when I wake up in the morning. The first, like, I have this note that says, listen when you wake up in the morning and you're feeling low. So there's a note for that. There's a note that says, listen when you need a boost in confidence. Listen when you. So I do these things in my voice notes because I feel like I can motivate myself so well, but when I'm low, I'm not able to do it. So that higher version of myself needs to step in. And so I kind of record that higher version of myself into that notes app and listen to her. So that's been really helpful with my self-worth journey.
I love that. I love that exercise. And it's so good because I feel like it's even more powerful than listening to someone else,
Yeah.
motivating you, or to have like a motivational speech that you can use because it comes from you. And once you listen to that version of yourself, when you're low, exactly as you said, you're listening to your version, your good version, your positive version, your empowered version. You remind yourself that, oh, I'm that as well. That's part of me as well. I'm not just sad. I'm not just, like this. Because when we are on our lows, in our like, in our mind, let's say that, because when we think, many times we get to this very like dark dark place. Um,
Mm.
we we kind of forget that we actually have really positive traits, and we had really positive experiences before, and yeah, we only see the negatives when we are in our lowest phases. So I love that exercise. I feel like it's so powerful. And you reminded me of another exercise that I've learned from, I don't know if you know about Esther and Abraham
Yeah.
Hicks.
I love them. Yeah.
I love them too. They were my guides throughout my awakening journey. Yes, they're so good. And she was saying at some point, the rampage. Um, just think about positive words. Start with each letter of the alphabet, and say at least 3 words, find at least 3 words with each letter. For example, A, astonishing, amazing, I don't know, absolute, awesome, and all that. And by the time you get mid the alphabet, you'll realize that your energy suddenly changed. And it's such an easy exercise, but so powerful as well.
Wow. That's amazing. I've never heard of that. That's really good. And you know, what makes me the saddest is that a lot of my friends, right, when I've had conversations with people, they deal with low self-worth. And I've always been like, I've been the highest advocate of self-reliancy, like being able to depend and trust yourself, right? And when you are in the stage of low self-worth, you just, that trust within yourself gets broken too. And I just, it's so hard to like navigate through the low self-worth when you're really feeling it in that moment. And I want to also share with you that I went through a breakup recently, and so I dealt with like a worthiness wound being opened up right after, and it took me like around 10 days to really get out of that state of feeling like I'm not worth, or feeling like I'm not good enough. So I want to ask you, firstly, one question would be, why do so many of us struggle with this? Like, where is this coming from? Why do we have worthiness wounds in the first place? And then, secondly, is how can we build more of that self trust with ourselves? How can we rely on ourselves more, especially in these low moments when we just don't feel like we're good enough?
Mm. Yeah, we all suffer, with all sorts of wounds. And yeah, I love these questions. Everything starts in our childhood. We've been programmed and conditioned by all those subtle and not so subtle messages that we've been receiving from our parents, teachers, school, and afterwards we grew up in this society that's pushing us towards competition and achievement and all this external, you know, validation and gratification, and we lose ourselves, and we forget that actually we are worthy. We've been worthy since the day we came on this earth. We were born worthy, so we just forget about it. And worthiness is something that we need to remember. It's not something that we should learn. It's within ourselves. We just need to let go of all these, limiting beliefs, all this conditioning. And it is a process. It's such a difficult process, but with the right support, with the right, kindness and the right approach, which includes kindness and patience and compassion and desire to feel better, we can definitely get on the other side. That would be my answer for your first question. And I think I sum it up for both, actually. Yes. I don't know. What do you feel?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's really beautiful that you said that, because it helps us also build that. When you say remember and not learn, that itself is so true, like, because it's all about remembering. Like, this whole journey of life is remembering who we are. And it's so funny because the first like 7 8 years you're a sponge, you like absorb everything externally, you get all these conditioning, and the rest of your life you're spending on learning that, and then learning who, and then remembering who you really really are, remembering your power, remembering your worth. And it feels so aligned. Like, when I think of it that way, I feel so aligned because it's true. It's true to me. I am powerful. I am worthy. And when I say those out loud, it feels aligned in my body. Like, there's a different vibration that I feel running through my spine when I say those words, because it's my truth. And when I say the other words, I feel shame and contraction in my body. And so, why? Because that's not my truth. That was conditioning. And so, I love when you say remember, because everything is just going back to remembering. And if we all remembered our power and our worth, how different would life look? How different would this world look? Right? There's so many times we like sabotage ourselves, and we do a lot of things that aren't like our authentic selves, because it's coming from our inner younger versions that is hurt, that is hurting. And
Yeah.
so it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been reading this book, The Mountain Is You, which is about turning self-sabotage to self-mastery. And it really talks about how we subtly, or even not sometimes, sabotage ourselves in so many ways because we are seeking validation externally, or we're seeking to be seen and we're seeking that attention. And that brings me to my next question, actually. Like, I also struggle with this, right? So why do we have this deep desire to be seen? Like, what I realized is that my need for external validation is actually my desire to be seen. Why do I need other people to see me?
Yeah, touched upon a really good subject. I believe it comes from our necessity to be part of a group because by nature we humans require and need to be part of a group, to be part of a society, to be part of a community. So that community has a certain set of traits. The members of it behave in a certain way, look in a certain way, have a certain hobbies, and so on and so forth. So that's why I feel we want to, you know, be part of it, and that means to manipulate in a sense our image or our needs or our authentic expression to become part of that society, of that community. So yeah, that validation I think comes from that, and from it, as you said, we we put on our shoulder all this pressure because if we get rejected, it will hurt us. But once we discover who we truly are and once we step into our empowered self, we realize that just by being ourselves, we'll find our group. It's not the other way around. I feel like once we activate from our truest version, the people who are necessary to be part of our life, the people who are, aligned with who we are without judging, without manipulating anything, without changing anything about ourselves, they will be drawn to our energy. And that's how we'll create that community. It's not us fitting into a community, but the other way around.
Yeah, it really does work in reverse. Like when you're actually being your true self, you'll find your community. And also, a lot of people will be repelled from your energy, but that's a good thing because you're clearing space for more aligned people to come in. Like, it's so funny because literally this whole, being seen and how you connected it with belonging in a community and not being excluded is so true. Because when I've been excluded in parties in the past, I've been like, oh, they don't want me there, and then it again affects my worth and it affects how I view myself if I'm not invited for a party. So it's all about us being social creatures and wanting to be part of the pack and the tribe, but actually standing out will help us attract more aligned people, thereby attracting more happiness and joy in your life. Because I feel like the people you surround yourself with affect your state of being a lot also. So I definitely feel like that's super connected. And like literally before this call also, I was texting someone who wanted to meet, and I was like trying to be so nice because I didn't want to, like hurt her. But the way, like, I just had to set a boundary at a certain point of time in that conversation, and I didn't want to because I was like, she's like one of my very few friends in the city, and I don't want to like be rude, like I want to be nice. But at the same time, if I feel like I'm gonna be like walking on eggshells around someone, are they truly my true friend? If I'm feeling like I can't set a boundary or I have to walk on eggshells around them, are they truly my true friend? And so like literally I set that boundary. And I was scared. Like I was scared doing it even now. I was just like, oh my God, like, but I have to do it because so what? Like if she doesn't like it, if she doesn't like that I'm setting my boundaries, then it's fine. It's okay for us to not be that close. Like it's okay. There's gonna be other people who understand my boundaries and respect them, right? So it's fine. And that's the kind of like dialogue I have to have with myself when I'm doing these things, when I'm setting boundaries or not people pleasing. Because it is scary to not fit in, or it is scary to like not to have people like think you're weird or you're too much or you're too uptight and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'm so happy for you that you managed to have that courage, to set up that boundary because it requires so much courage, as you said, not to feel rejected, not to end up being rejected, but in a sense, and this will link in with a discussion I had with a friend 2 days ago. We were talking about people who have loads of body changes and transformations like tattoos and piercings and all that. And they alter their body to fit in a certain group because that's what represents them, but also it's a way to reject everyone who is not, aligned with their physique and their appearance. So I find that so interesting because we all do that in a sense or another, but they are like a very vivid example of how we shape ourselves in a sense, and we reject or attract the right people and the right community. And yes, they are courageous in my opinion. They have so much courage to show up like that, and it's another form of setting boundaries and yeah, just deciding that I want to be like this, I want to exist like this, and that's my choice, and I'll go with it. Every choice comes with some sort of consequence.
Yeah, yeah. And the name of this podcast is literally Rebel with a Purpose. So it's like, it's all about like being rebellious, but it's also so hard to be rebellious because when you're being rebellious, you're threatening your nervous system because you're like, there's a chance you won't fit in, if you're going to go against the herd. So that's like, that feels unsafe. And that's why it requires so much bravery and courage, right? Okay, amazing. And I want to ask you another question, which is, do men and women deal with it differently, deal with low self-worth and how, like, the consequent behaviors of that differently? Do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. We both have the wound inside of us. Women have been conditioned to be, kind and nurturing and that motherly figure, and to exist from this perspective of a good girl that always care for the others, and they are like, in a sense, very not making many waves, not creating much disruptions, just caring and loving and being soft. And men, I believe that they've been struggling with this, and for them, this expression comes when we think about their position in society, how strong they are, how well positioned financially they are. Society, as I said before, push us towards this competitive way of living, and if men don't have a certain status after a certain age or they don't have a certain amount of money or all that, they are being judged, and of course their self-worth is diminishing, and it's affected.
Hmm. Yeah, I love how you mentioned the difference because I totally see that with people, right? Like, and I see like a lot of times like women seek a lot of validation from men, and then men seek validation from career, work, money. Um, so I've seen that difference also come up a lot with when someone deals with this low self-worth. And how do you, like, this skill of listening to your body, listening to your intuition and healing? Because healing is not like, I've been on my healing journey so much, and I've worked with multiple coaches and I've worked with multiple therapists, and sometimes it hasn't clicked. Like sometimes I've worked with someone and it hasn't really helped me. And then I've just been like, I gotta start like learning to listen to my body and see what my body needs. And that has helped me heal a lot more. Like the breakup I just had, I didn't work with a coach or therapist on it. I just listened to my body and decided that, okay, I need this release, this somatic work, this visualization work. Luckily, I have the tools to do that release to help myself because I've learned these tools. But it was also like, you have a body, somatics, like you have a body, how to release and let go of the grief or a certain emotion, right? So I like did the somatic visualization kind of healing. I don't even know what to call it. It was just whatever my body needed at that point. And it was so, so beneficial. It was 1 hour of just cleansing and releasing and integrating. And it was just so beneficial to my mental health that I want more people to learn the skill of trusting and listening to their bodies and their intuition more so that they can build more self trust. Because self reliance is very underrated. Not a lot of us rely on ourselves, but how do you like actually listen to your body and be able to give yourself what you need in that moment?
Mm. I love what you said. E- Even if you worked with multiple coaches, sometimes you did not feel that click. And it's so true because no other person can have the answers for us. Everything that we need to know about ourselves is already within. We got all the answers, but exactly as you said, we need to get to them. We need to listen to our intuition. Is the biggest and the greatest advisor and compass we can have in life. And how we do that? Just staying quiet, just by breathing, just by being present in the moment, just by silencing the mind. And yeah, doing a meditation. I feel like meditation is a great tool to get closer to our intuition, to get closer to that inner guidance. In the silence, we get all the answers that we need, and it's somehow like everything that we are discussing here, you know, upside down in a sense, because we would think that, you know, all the answers are somewhere there. We need to look out for them. We need to search. We need to take a lot of action, but instead it's actually the opposite. We need to just be, stay in the moment, be present, breathe, feel, ask the questions. Okay, I'm here. I'm I'm feeling this. I need this. Give me some guidance. Help me. I know that I am supported always. I know that to have this in mind. You know, I know that I'm in the right place at the right time. Just help me find the next step. And it always comes. It always comes. It's never, we are never left without our answers. Yeah.
That's so beautiful that you said that. Like, that's literally also the journey I've been on for the past few months is like slowing down and being and asking. And asking is basically a form of prayer, right? And you know that's what my name means. My name is Pratana, and in Hindi it means prayer. And all my life I've never prayed. Like I used to pray in the religious sense, but what was it? Like joining hands and bowing down. And I never really prayed in my own essence and authentic way. And now I have this book which is it's all about my conversations with God, and I just talk to God through this book. This is my form of praying, like it's my own way of praying, and this is what I feel the most connected with. So I've been doing that recently. And it's yeah, you ask, you get the answer. It actually can be that simple, but of course there's a lot of work that goes behind that, which is trusting yourself and trusting the co-creation with the universe, trusting God, right? So it's not just, oh, you ask and the answer will come, but of course like trusting that the answer will come, and then letting go, not being desperate for an answer. Like it'll come when it has to come. It'll come at its most perfect timing, and you just got to trust in that divine timing that it's going to come, and just let go. And that takes, I don't even know, years to build, like that trust and surrender with God. It could happen faster for people for sure. For me it took a couple of years. I had trust issues with the universe for the longest time, so I had to work on like building trust again with the universe and with God. So it took me a couple of years, and even till today there are times where I doubt sometimes, like what if this doesn't happen. Worrying is doubting God. That's how I look at it. It's very human to worry, but also we are doubting God when we're worrying, right? So it's like, how can I just, fully trust, fully surrender, and then how would I show up? If I actually fully trusted and surrendered, how differently would I show up? And I wouldn't worry. And I would just be my authentic self and not worry about whether, oh, this person will talk to me after I've set my boundaries, or whether I'm going to be an outcast or a pariah in the social group because I've done certain things, right? Being excluded, basically not being seen. And I also feel like that starts with seeing yourself. And exactly what you said, like sitting with yourself and being in that quiet environment, meditating, or even like this journal that I have with God. Sometimes even dancing. I look at dancing as a way of talking to God. It could be so many different ways. We all have our own ways, but it's a way that helps you connect deeper within yourself, that will build self-reliance and self-trust essentially, right? So that's just so beautiful, because I feel like a lot of people don't do it, and we all know we should be doing it. Like we should be meditating, we should be slowing down sometimes, or we should be with ourselves more, but we have the conditioning that it's going to affect our worth if we don't put in the work and if we're not productive. So yeah, I want to ask you about your journey with worth and work. Have I'm sure we all have, but tell me about like you connecting your self-worth with your work, and how you're working on that, or if you've healed that.
Wow, you reminded me of a perfect example related to this subject. I was not even 2 months ago. One morning I woke up with this very intense anxiety. I haven't felt anxiety in years, and I was like so surprised that I'm having this emotion. And I was like trying to find the reason behind it. And I was preparing my coffee and staying present and asking myself, where is this coming from? What does it mean? What should I do about it? And I realized afterwards, in a span of a couple of hours, I realized that it came from my lack of having a plan for that day. And
Mm.
it shocked me because I thought I don't suffer of this, I don't have this. I'm like I already mastered this, but no, it's so subtle sometimes, and it just passes us our vigilant, let's say, look out. And yeah, suddenly you wake up feeling really anxious because your entire day is somehow free and you don't have any sort of plans, and that means that you're not worthy. That means that as you said, you don't show up through action. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a continuous work in progress for the rest of our lives. We'll continuously work on ourselves. I don't think that we can at some point say, you know what, I'm done with working on myself. I'm done with this. I know everything. I'm mastering my identity and my existence here. No, I feel like we'll always find new perspectives of a same a situation even. And yeah, we have to be aware of it, so we don't put that pressure on ourselves like I did back then through this example. Well, I thought I already healed this. What's going on? I don't want to be here. Why? Did I not do enough about it? Did I not heal enough?
Mm.
Uh, yeah, asking the right questions and being present. I feel like that's a really good process for most of our journey of self-discovery and self-worth and yeah, growth.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of healing for me also has happened in these moments, like when I'm asking the wrong question and I consciously am aware that Eckhart Tolle, in his book The Power of Now, talks about being the observer of your thoughts, right? So these thoughts are not mine. So I'm the observer of my thoughts. And so there are two selves. One is your thoughts and one is the observer. So I keep going back to, okay, so this is what I'm thinking, but I have the choice to change this thought into this thought. And then to have that awareness in the moment when you're feeling like low, that takes time. But if you are able to do that like once, you can do it again, and then you can do it again, and then you can do it again, and then after like a couple of months, you will feel already so much mentally better because you've changed that thought every time. And like I worked with this one client where we were working on changing this one negative thought he had, and I was like, every time we shift that thought, I want you to send me a heart on our Telegram chat group, right? So I was like, every time you shift that thought, just send me a heart, so I'll know that you've shifted to a more positive rewiring. And you'll also, when you come back and you see how many hearts you've sent me, you'll see like, oh, I shifted so many times. And that will make you feel like very proud of yourself, because we don't measure how far we've come. Instead, we look at how much we have left to go, right? So this was a way of us measuring like how far he's coming through rewiring the thoughts in the moment of time, and that actually heals over time. And sometimes it's not even like you don't have to go back, re-traumatize yourself and do a lot of inner child healing if you're not ready for it yet. I mean, inner child definitely helps. It didn't help me at a point of time when I was looking to heal. And doing these things have actually helped me a lot more right now. So like I'm saying, no one size fits all. You can heal through multiple different ways. You don't always have to know the root cause. You don't always have to go back and like repeat that in your mind for yourself. You can do it through another way if that's what you feel most aligned with. But I really really loved what you said, and I want to ask you, like, this again goes to the next question, is how do we start like accepting this unhealed version of ourselves? Like you said, we're always going to be a work in progress, but how do we fully just accept ourselves, and not only ourselves, but also others? Like a lot of times with relationships, we have most of our problems or fights come from, I expected this, you did not reach. I expected certain things from you, and that just did not happen, and that's made me unhappy and upset. How can we start maybe accepting others for the way they are, and stop shaming or judging others and then thereby judging ourselves? Because I've realized it's kind of connected. When you're judging yourself, you also tend to be a person who judges others, or when you're shaming yourself, you tend to be a person who's doing that for others too.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What a powerful question that is. And yeah, we are our worst critics, aren't we? We always critique ourselves, and we are never enough in our eyes. And yeah, as we said before, this journey is not an easy one, and we start with kindness. We start with kindness. That's what I've been practicing in my experience, for example, because I come from a very, let's say, unbalanced family with a lot of abuse, physically and physical and verbal. So it took me a lot of time to really understand why that happened. I accused my parents, I accused especially my father for every, damage and every pain that he inflicted on me, and I continually carry that with me through my young adult life. And it took me so much time to understand that without his presence, without him being the way he was with me, I could not be here. This version of myself could not exist. And I'm so happy with who I am right now and how I am right now. And I accepted his presence. I accepted it, its influence, its negative influence in a sense. So after that, the next step was to listen to him and actually understand that he did not do all those things because he wanted to. He did that because he learned that from his parents, and it was a generational wound that each of us carried, in a sense. In a way of or another, we express it, and he was hurting, and that was his way of expressing that hurt. Some of us are more, let's say, strong, and they're stronger. They know how to deal with that hurt, and some of us are not as strong, so they just, reflect and express that wound through negative actions and through more pain. Because they don't know how to deal with it. So my advice would be to just look at the people who are wrong you, in a sense, who wrong you, and to think and to know that they are hurting. Because a person who's happy, who's who's doing well, who is aligned and balanced, would never hurt someone else. So it's just an expression of our own pain and their pain as well.
Mm. Yeah, my coach also said this, like when it comes to your parents, and if your parents say certain things to you and it triggers you and it affects you, and it's coming from like their conditioning and what they have learned, right? So my coach said this, which is, I don't know how I feel about it, but I've been trying to do this, which is like when you have fights with your parents, or when they say something to you that you just are very triggered about it, upsets you, angers you, look at them as young kids who are hurting. Look at their inner childs. Don't look at them as an adult. Look at them as, because at that point of time, they are coming from their wounded inner child. So he said that when you're having a fight with your mom, look at her as her wounded inner child who is just seeking to feel safe in her nervous system. And that's why this is how she projects it, because she is
Mhm.
seeking safety. So, for example, say my room is really messy and she comes in and she's like, oh my God, it's so much of a mess. Like, what are you doing? Clean your room. And maybe for her, that's triggering a part of her inner child. And that's why she's acting out so much, because maybe she's feeling unsafe seeing a messy room. I don't know the depths of it. I don't know where it's coming from. And you don't even need to know where it's coming from. But it's just that this is triggering something from her past or her younger self. And she doesn't like the mess. So either set a boundary and just say, like, let's just talk outside my room since you don't like the way I keep my room, or clean the room, you know? So there are like two ways to go around things. And so a lot of the things I've done is I either, like, when we have fights, I kind of see my mom as her wounded inner child. And that actually helps me be more calm and patient, because I get angry very easily. So it helps me actually calm down a little bit. And it also helps me know when to set a boundary and when to be like, okay, this is not something I really want to deal with constantly, because I think it's unfair for me. So I set a boundary. So
Mhm.
that's that's how I've been dealing with a lot of these things. But I really like when you say, like, they you accept them because you know that it's not them and it's their wounded inner child. But at the same time, that doesn't make it okay if you're not okay with it. And that's when you set a boundary or you let go of the person if you can. Um, but yeah, I always feel like setting boundaries is a way of keeping someone in your life, not distancing. If you wanted to distance, you would just let them go. But if you're setting a boundary, it's because you actually want them in your life, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you said it perfectly. Yes, and what I wanted to say was seeing your parent as as their inner child, you know, that the hurt child requires so much strength and so much maturity from your side. And as you said, it's not right. It doesn't make it right, but it gives you a different perspective for yourself to take, to take a decision, a more aligned decision than a reaction, than to have a reaction to their own reaction. Because reaction with reaction, it will create an explosion. But knowing and understanding with a reaction will help that situation. We will, make it better and support both parties involved. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, that's so beautiful. And that helps you really accept people as they are also. And that
yeah.
brings me to my last question, which is, what would you say to someone who feels like no matter how hard they try, it's not enough, who feels like a failure, who feels like they don't fit in with the matrix that is society?
Hmm. Firstly, I'll start with you are not broken. It's nothing wrong about you. You are just becoming. And I have this vision in mind. You know that the Tetris game? When you have to Tetris is like you have all these blocks, different shapes, and you have to put them aligned so they can, disappear and make room for the next one to come. And every time that someone tells me, well, I want to fit in this group, or I want to be more like that person or the other person, I tell them, you're not, a Tetris piece. If you fit in, you disappear. We came here to be ourselves, to express ourselves authentically. And as you said at the beginning, it's so funny because we learn, and we get to this stage when we have to unlearn almost everything to discover who we truly are. And that's our unique and true expression, and that's our magic. And I'm always and I'm probably forever gonna advocate for this idea. We came here to be unique and diverse, and whatever doesn't feel right, however you ask me, okay, so what would you say to a person who tries to fit in and they can't and they keep failing? Firstly, there's no failure. It's just an experience and a teaching or a lesson. And secondly, if you can't fit in into something, into a group or whatever, into a workplace, it's just a sign that something else better and more aligned is waiting for you. You just need to let go of this. Let go. I know it's easier to say than done, but it's a very big clue that you are not in the right place.
Yeah. It's a very big clue that you're not in the right place. I just wish I heard this when I was in middle school and high school. Because no matter how hard I tried, I never fit in. But I'm so glad that I didn't because that helped me do what I do today. And that's so important. Like this message that you shared, I feel like so many people would definitely cherish it and it would support so many people. So thank you so much for sharing this message. And thank you so much for your time and being here on this podcast. And I want you to just tell us lastly, how can people reach out to you if they would like to work on their worth, their confidence, and their identity? How do people reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm firstly I'm so grateful for this opportunity and for this aligned co-creation. We've met on Instagram and look at us now. Like a couple of weeks later, we are creating this beautiful episode. And thank you for inviting me. And yeah, people can just message me on Instagram at Awaken Divine 111 or on my website awakendivine.co.uk. They can email me, let's chat at awakendivine.co.uk. Yeah, I'm almost everywhere on Facebook, same name, LinkedIn, it's Petra Zaremba, Awaken Divine. So yeah, I'm waiting for them to reach out. And another thing that I would add, and probably you'll agree with me, asking for help is a form of self-love. Because I feel like we don't ask help because we feel like we are not, asking for help shows that we have some sort of damage, that we have some sort of problem, that we are not perfect, that we are not good enough. But actually, seeking help and seeking support is a form of self love. And a coach can help us so much. We can make, those steps that we do it alone by ourselves in just a couple of weeks, maybe. A work that otherwise by ourselves would take years. And yeah, as us coaches, we've been through that journey. It took us so long, as you said, it took us years to get to this knowledge. And yeah, people just need to take advantage of what we know and our experience.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I love that you said that because, like, coaching is quantum leaping. When you're in that different energy, you see life differently and you actually quantum leap because you're saving time and you're learning from someone who's done it before. So, I truly believe in the power of coaching so much, which is why I'm a coach, right? And I will definitely add your links down to the description so people can reach out to you more easily. And I love the name, your Instagram name, Awakened Divine. I love that. But thank you so much again for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, Petra.
Bye, Pratana.
Well, that was the end of this episode. I hope it gave you those golden nuggets, and I hope you had at least one big takeaway that you can go back to your life and implement, whether that's with regards to journaling, whether that's with regards to your self dialogue, whether that's with regards to the way you show up for yourself on a daily basis. I want you to just think of one thing that you can apply in your day to day life. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time, for your attention, and I really hope you liked this piece of content. If there's any other piece of content that you want to hear from me, please DM me at Purpose with Pratna and let me know. I'm more than happy to take your feedback and apply it in this podcast. You're listening to Rebel with a Purpose, and I'm Pratna signing off.